Hello, 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 everybody. Uh, Welcome. Just going to give it like a few more minutes uh, for some folks to come in if y'all like to come in. Hope everybody is doing okay on this warm Sunday afternoon. So, if I may, I want to come on here on Facebook Live, talk about a few things. So, um, and also to address some comments that was made. I don't know if I made this kind of clear, um, but as the title of this video suggests, that I'm going to answer three questions. Who am I? What have I done? And what I'm going to do. So those are the three things that I will talk about in this live feed. And plus I'll get some other things out of the way after that, because there's been some folks on, line. We know we're coming up with election in Birmingham on August the 26th. I'm Keith Williams, and I am running for Birmingham City Council District 6. I'm running because I want to breathe life into Birmingham's future, because there are too many dry bones there are here in the city of Birmingham. And when we talk about dry bones, that's representative of things like, people are not being heard, things are not being done in their communities, and it's been a lot of unfulfilled promises, and they're not being heard. So those are some examples of what dry bones are. And I'm running because I want to breathe life into Birmingham's future. And I'll get into that in a moment. So let's start with the first question. Who am I? I'm glad you asked. My name is Keith Williams. I am running for Birmingham City Council District 6. I proudly have served in the Army in the late 90s during the Persian Gulf War, when it was like getting its momentum. So I'm a proud Army veteran. I run a small nonprofit called Great I Am Ministries Outreach International, which is in its 22nd year. I think we'll celebrate our 22nd anniversary on July the 25th. That's the day that it was founded. I am also a formal neighborhood officer. I served 2 terms as vice president of the North Titusville Neighborhood Association from 2019 to 2023. I am also one of the founding members of Birmingham United Neighborhoods. Sometimes we're known as Magic City Blackbusters. And this is an organization that is coming up with a sustainability plan to address blight. And currently there are 8 charter neighborhoods that are part of Birmingham United Neighborhoods, or BUN for short. In District 6, we have two of the 8 neighborhoods are in District 6. That's North Titusville and South Titusville. I've also am a member or have been partnering with several organizations like Alabama Rise. I'm an individual member there. Gov South to Appalachia, which is stretched across, I want to say about 13 states, from Texas all the way to Virginia. And this is an environmental organization that deals with systemic racism in terms of the environment, climate change, and natural disasters or disaster recovery that's related to climate change. So I am a member of that. Let's see what else. They say Alabama Rise. Okay, I'm also part of Faith in Action Alabama, which consists of faith leaders and laypersons from all over Alabama. And there are 4 main hubs, and then there are several minor hubs that are forming throughout the state of Alabama. And so I'm part of the Birmingham hub, and they each meet, monthly, and all these are advocacy groups. I am also a freelance web designer. So that's my profession. And so that's pretty much who I am and what I do. And I place emphasis on being a former neighborhood officer, because if you look back through history, you will notice that a lot of your elected officials, most of them anyway, started out as neighborhood officers. And so this is where, and neighborhood officers, by the way, they're volunteer, they don't get paid. But I know a lot of hardworking neighborhood officers that are doing the best they can to, fight for the interests of the people that live in their neighborhoods, and they're not being paid for it. They're doing this for free. And so I want to give a shout out to all the neighborhood officers. They are working effortlessly and tirelessly to be an advocate for their neighborhoods. So that's pretty much who I am. Oh, and I also forgot, I am also a member of the clergy. I personally serve as associate minister of St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church in North Tisville, where the Reverend Dr. Perry Goins Jr. is the pastor. I think I've been there for, I want to say about 5 or 6 years that I serve at that church. Okay, so yes, I am a member of the clergy. Oh, so that's pretty much who I am. Now, second question is, what have I done? There's a lot of you out there that posted on Facebook. We want to know what the candidates who are running for office, what they have done. All right, I'm going to answer the second question. What have I done? Now, mine for you though, I run a nonprofit. So there's a lot of things that I've done for the nonprofit that I've been doing for over 20 years. And this is long before I ever decided to run for office. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what I have done in the last, I say about 5 or 6 years. So let's begin, with that. Now, I told you before that I'm a member of Birmingham United Neighborhoods. And one of the reasons, and this is a citizen-led organization. So basically, people from 8 neighborhoods decided to get together, and we want to come up with a sustainability plan to address blight in our neighborhoods. And so we collectively came together and we formulated Birmingham United Neighborhoods. And one of the things that the organization is best known for is Magic City Blight Busters. You probably seen the white van that usually go to certain neighborhoods and it have the Blightbusters logo on it. You probably have seen that around the city of Birmingham, all the time, where we go into these neighborhoods and we do the best that we can to clean up these neighborhoods, whether it's dilapidated homes, or maybe we're picking up trash, or we are addressing maybe a blighted lot or overgrown lot. And so now what has happened is that we end up getting a grant from the city of Birmingham and the Jefferson County, and through Tool Bank USA, we now have the Magic City Tool Bank, which is located in North Titusville, is in Titusville by Elwood Cemetery on 6th Avenue Southwest. So I was a part of bringing the Magic City Tool Bank to the city of Birmingham, which, by the way, is open to all 99 neighborhoods. And because of its success in the Tool Bank is actually expanding. So they are expanding, and even as we speak, we don't know exactly when they're going to have an official grant opening, but it has opened, already. And a lot of neighborhoods in the city of Birmingham have begun to utilize the Tool Bank. So that's one thing. Another thing that I have done was, if you're familiar with Titusville on 6th Avenue, right before you go, right before you get to UAB, there's a viaduct. It's been there for like forever. I think it's like decades, so I don't even know how old it is. I just know it's older than me. Let's just put it that way. And I'm 51. So I know it's older than I am. But for a very long time, that viaduct, whenever we had any type of significant rains or thunderstorms or hurricanes, that area would flood like the plague. Did y'all see them videos of places around the city of Birmingham that flooded last week? Inglenook. Did y'all see them videos? Like a lake, okay? So it's like that. And so for a long time, that area has been neglected. We're talking about the viaduct on 6th Avenue South near Memorial Park. It's been flooding for decades. So as vice president of North Titusville Neighborhood Association, I advocated for the city to come in and fix that. And it was a 2-year campaign, by the way. It got so much momentum that I was featured on CBS 42. You can go look it up. You can Google it. I was actually interviewed by CBS 42 one evening, and then the next day it played through the morning program. Well, shortly after that, the city came in and they fixed it. Best part about this is that they gave me regular updates as to what was happening. Now, from time to time, I would go and I would check the progress, right? So one day I drove through there and they was lifting up the pipes. Those pipes were so old that they just basically crumbled. That tells you how long them pipes has been replaced. They crumbled and the water turned white. And I'm like, it's been like decades since they replaced, these pipes. And they had to go like a couple of blocks to the west and a couple of blocks to the east. You know how after you go under the viaduct and there's a traffic light. So they had to go and fix that area too, because that area flooded as well. So it wasn't enough that the viaduct was flooded. You go by the traffic light and you turn right, like you going into Glen Iris, that area flooded too. And so they went and fixed all of that, as well. And then you have to go over by the fire station. There's a fire station a couple of blocks over after you go under Interstate 65. So that's the way that you get on Interstate 65 North. So that area was flooded also, and they had to go and fix that as well. So it all started with my advocacy. So because of that, the city came in and they fixed that whole section. And this was back in 2022, I believe. And we're now in 2025, 3 years later. No flooding issues. Because I made sure that the city was doing their job. It was advocacy. Basically I would just hound them to death. Y'all need to come and take care of this, blah, 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 blah. And they came and they fixed it. And that was a great victory for not only the folks that live in Tisville, but 6th Avenue South, where Memorial Park is. That's a major artery between the West, and the East. Remember, I kept talking about the fact that neighborhoods or communities west of Interstate 65 is always neglected. So that is like right at the line where Interstate 65 is. If you go east of Interstate 65, that's where we go into UAB. But then when we go west of Interstate 65, that's when we start to see some of the neglect. So I was there advocating to have that fixed. What else have I done? Well, let's see. When a lot of y'all probably thinking, that I've just spoken out about the Waterworks Board. That's not true. About 4 years ago, we was right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this was right around the time that basically people was having a hard time, with income. A lot of people had lost their jobs. They didn't know where their next meal was coming from. And so utilities like the Birmingham Waterworks Board was getting ready to shut off water for hundreds of thousands of customers in Birmingham and Jefferson County. I was right out there with a group of people protesting right along the sidewalk where Birmingham Waterworks Board headquarters, is. And through direct action, Birmingham Waterworks Board did not cut off water service. That was about 4 years ago. Come the present time, I went to Montgomery and I fought to prevent the state of Alabama from taking over the Waterworks Board. Now, I'm not saying that every battle that I fight that I'm going to win. But the most important thing is that you need someone in office that just is going to fight no matter what the outcome, is going to be. Why are you going to elect someone that's not even attempting to fight? It's like you're going down there with a defeated spirit. And that's one thing that I notice when I go to Montgomery and I'm advocating on state level issues that affect the city of Birmingham. You have some folks in the Senate and the House of Representatives who are Democrats that have a defeated spirit. They tell me that, well, we're outnumbered. Republicans have a supermajority. What can I do? And I'm like, but that's not why we elected you. We elected you to represent us and to fight for our best interests. I'm not saying that you're going to win every battle. You're not going to win every battle. But at least go down there swinging. You got folks that are not even doing that. What I did, and I'm not even a member of the Alabama House of Representatives or the Alabama State Senate, but I'm there. I'm there fighting on state issues that affect the people of Birmingham, like the grocery tax. I was there when they first put up the legislation to cut the grocery tax. And now through that advocacy, we're beginning to see a slowly decrease. We're beginning to see a decrease in the grocery tax so that thousands of Alabamians can save money at the grocery store. I was there. I was there when the Public Transportation Trust Fund was signed into law in 2018. Right now, we're coming up on about 6 years, and that trust fund is still empty. And so I support funding for that trust fund. Because mind for you though, the gas tax that was passed, it goes into roads and bridges and infrastructure, but none of that money goes into public transportation. And so that was one of the reasons why the Public Transportation Trust Fund was created. But it's been 6 years and that trust fund is still empty. And there's been numerous attempts to find ways to, have it funded. Like, for example, there was legislation, in which they were charged, I think like maybe $5 or more for renewing your license or your state ID. And that died in committee, I think maybe about 3 years in a row, something like that. So there has been some attempt to have it, funding, but that bill that it was sponsored by Senator Linda Coleman Madison. And every year that bill gets killed in committee. So we're not sure, what's going to be done, about that. But I do support funding for public transportation because in the city of Birmingham, the public transportation, needs to be upgraded. They did a lot of cutting in the last couple of years. So it's not, it's still functional, but it's not where it's supposed to be as far as its level of, funding, is concerned, because people who depended, on it, are saying it's not really, reliable. So I have been in conversations with appropriate people about what can be done to actually fund public transportation. That's one thing. How many of y'all heard about Sherman Industries? Sherman Industries used to be in the southern part of town, it's like close to downtown. It used to be over there by Railroad Park. If y'all remember a couple of years ago, that Sherman Industries owned a piece of property near the Crossplex, I think in the Fairview, Oakwood Place area. It was mixed zoning at first, and they ended up changing the zoning to light industrial. Sherman Industries is a concrete plant. And so they wanted to relocate that from the south side to near 5 Points South. And the people in the area, they rallied and said, we don't want this here. Shout out to Susan Palmer. She's the one that spearheaded, this campaign to keep Sherman Industries away from the 5 Points West community. And I was there, for that. And so the end result was that that plant was actually relocated to the Tarrant area. So I believe to this day that property is still empty, but they changed the zoning from mixed use to light industrial. I don't know if that zoning it still exists. I don't know if it went back to mixed use. I'm not sure about that. But yes, I was there for that. Let's see, what else, have I done? Let me think. I'm trying to get my train of thought together. Oh, one thing I'm really big on is budgets. I've been studying city budgets for years. And normally I would come on Facebook Live and I would break down the budget so that people would know, in a language that everybody be able to understand. And this is how the budget is going to affect you. So one of the things that I am supporting is what is called participatory budgeting. And participatory budgeting, what they'll do is that they'll take a percentage of the budget. It's usually between 3 and 10%, depends. There are quite a bit of cities across the country that have participatory budgeting. In that process, people can sit at the table and they can decide where this money is going to be used for, because this is taxpayers' dollars. This is public funds, and you as a citizen have a right to know where your money is going. And a lot of times, this is where a lack of transparency comes in, because a lot of people really don't know about this budget and how it works. So I try my best to educate people about the budget and how it works, what the process is, and how it affects you. And so that is a personal public service. The people want to know where their money is or where it's not going. I think I have done this for the past 8 years or so. And so I get a lot of questions about the budget. Most recent thing I've done is that I went back to the city council agenda for the past 18 months, and find out what kind of items on their agenda that the city council have approved of that involves, money. And these are some of the issues that people have been talking about, like, for example, homelessness, that millions of dollars went to an organization, $1.7 million to be exact, went to a nonprofit in San Francisco, California, that was contracted by the city to address homelessness. So far, we haven't had an update. Also, when I looked at the agenda, I also noticed that a church in the Birmingham area also received $1+ million to address homelessness. We haven't heard anything from them, as well. So talking about the budget is my personal public service to the taxpayers and the residents of the city of Birmingham, because I want you to know where your money is going. And then in certain neighborhood association meetings, there has been conversations about where city council members have actually been using their ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act funds, came from. And so each council member in 2023 got $3 million. The city of Birmingham as a whole had 141 million, but each council district got $3 million. And what happened is that a lot of council members, they pooled their money together for certain projects. The majority of the council districts put little to no money in their actual district. But what they did is that several districts had partnered together and they done different things, together. But as far as putting money in their actual district, I didn't see any evidence of that, looking at different, reports and correspondence that it was little to no money that went into their actual district. And so we want people to know that I do support participatory budgeting and the fact that people need to know where their tax dollars, going. And this is public information that you should not have to pay for. You should be able to make a formal request, and they should make a formal request and you can go and get this material. But no, you have to pay for it. I don't think, and I don't believe, and I don't support the fact that you have to pay to get information where that information is public and it should be freely, given to you as long as you are making an official request. I don't have any problem making an official request, but I shouldn't have to pay for it. Let's see what else I could come up. I think that's pretty much all I can come with as far as, what I have done. Oh, also, there's two other things. Now, I'm very proud to say that during the pandemic, I was one of hundreds of people that either, raise awareness, raise funds, and provided resources for our low income households and senior households during the pandemic to make sure that they have food on the table, make sure that their basic utilities were paid: water, gas, electric. We also make sure that, if you had a job, that you have resources to make sure that you're able to get to your job. It may be cases where people may need gas money or something like that. And I was also part of an annual tradition to where, we would go to different housing communities throughout the city of Birmingham, and we spread a little Christmas joy to the kids. We connect with the parents, and Fox 6 always broadcasted every year, but we haven't did it. It wasn't done last year because we didn't have enough funds. But that's another thing, that I have done. Great I Am Ministries Outreach International, the organization that I have founded about 22 years ago, was almost responsible for, raising the money, and buying the gifts and, everything else, that needs to happen in order for our kids in public housing communities have something under the tree for Christmas. And so those are some of the things that I have done. So if you ever want to know what have I done, check that out. Also advocated for voters' rights. I fought for fairer maps. It's funny though that during the congressional Alabama congressional hearing, that they had at the federal courthouse. Now, no newspaper or TV station had interviewed me, right? But I was just flowing through my timeline on Facebook, and I saw my big head on one of the articles. I think it was AL.com. I said, "Oh my goodness, I cannot believe they just got my head." they just got my head, right? And that was proof that I was there. Because if you ask if I was at that trial, yeah. Well, how do you know? Check out AL.com. They got my big head. They got my big head in the article on the front page. I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. They got me. Because anybody that knows me know that I run from the media like the plague. Well, why is that? Because what I do as an advocate, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen. I do this work not for a photo op, not to be in front of the cameras. I do it because it's in me. I do it because, I'm interested in people's well-being. I want to see people thrive. I want to hear from you. I want you to be at the table. I want to address your concerns. So those are some of the things that I have done. And then we will go now to the third question. Well, what am I planning on doing? Now, for those of you who had tuned into my last town hall meeting, I kind of went through some of the things that I planned on doing. So for those of you who missed it, I'm going to go through that, again. So if y'all seen this, one of the reasons why I'm running is because I want to breathe life into Birmingham's future. So through the Birmingham Rising campaign, if y'all can see me, communities are always first. The people are always first, and accountability always. So it's Birmingham Rising, community first, accountability always. So how are we going to breathe life into Birmingham's future? There is a framework that I will enact when I'm elected as city council. It's called ACT. This is what we get the word action from. ACT stands for accountability, community engagement, and transparency. This is the framework that I plan to use in order to breathe life into Birmingham's future. Accountability should not only be about listening to the people. It also means transparent budgeting, which means that whenever the budget comes up, I will have town hall meetings in my district to where I will educate people on the budget and how the budget would affect them. Now, I told you already that I have done Facebook Lives talking about the budget. So I will continue to do that, as well as in-person town hall budgeting meetings. So we're talking about transparent budgeting. We're talking about the people being involved in the budgeting process. It's called participatory budgeting. It's something that I support. There would be no backdoor deals, dealing with contracts to families and friends. I'm letting y'all know right now, if I got a family member that's listening right now, there ain't gonna be none of that. You will have to go through the bidding process just like everybody else, because that has been a major problem in the city of Birmingham, where they will go give all these contracts to their friends and family, and with these millions of dollars contracts, and nothing's being done. So any project that is coming to District 6, you would know about it. I am open. I'm accessible. I will not only listen to what you have to say, but I'm going to act on what you have to say. And I welcome you to hold me accountable, ask questions, make comments, do criticisms. This is what accountability, is. It's not only that accountability should be rooted in action. Next, we have community engagement. That's C in act, meaning that I'm not just going to show up during the election year. You will see me year round. We're talking about year round visibility, not election year leadership. I will be having listening tours and town hall meetings throughout the district. What I plan to do, I think which is about 8 or 9 neighborhoods in District 6. Every neighborhood will be covered in that whole year. So we'll have listening tours, we'll have town halls to where you, the residents, will know what's going on in District 6 in the city of Birmingham that affects you. We will also have support for neighborhoods and youth. So what does that look like? So we would partner with different organizations throughout the area. We're going to come together and say, hey, what issues that, we need to address? Like, for example, blight and dilapidation. We got organizations like Navigate Affordable Housing Partners, Titusville Development Corporation, Neighborhood Housing Services. Birmingham United Neighborhoods has been really active in some of these communities and in neighborhoods in District 6. They're building affordable homes. They are cleaning up the neighborhoods by picking up trash, making sure that dilapidated houses are safe, and they are addressing overgrown lots. We're talking about a 5-year sustainability program that's getting ready to go into effect that I've been a part of. I've been in conversations with for years. It's not something that just thrown together. This has been planned, for years. And I've been at the meetings, had the conversations. I've been putting in the work. I won't get into that right now because more information, is pending. And we hope that this plan will go to all 99 neighborhoods. For now, I think it's roughly 8 neighborhoods, and 2 of them are in my district, North Titusville and South Titusville. We're talking about real neighborhood revitalization, not just tearing down buildings. So when we tear down buildings, you leave a lot of empty space for overgrowth. And that's going to cost more money. What needs to happen is that, the city needs to partner with developers that are community centric. That they're not going to push people out, but they're going to work with their community to bring what I call income-based housing. Income-based housing is just basically what it is. It's based on your income, where you have different types of homes for different types of income. So it's really bad that, you come in and you have homes for $300,000 and $400,000. And a lot of people are not be able to, afford that. But on the flip side, you can't have a house for, let's say, $50,000 because of the housing market. You're not going to be able to do that. But there are ways and programs that exist that we can bring in to where we can work with people who want to own a home to be able to afford a home. So those are some of the things that I like to bring into the district, as well as, making sure that our communities are clean of trash and debris. Because there's an issue with the storm water drainage system. You probably saw some of the videos of certain areas being flooded, which is definitely a stormwater issue, which is a policy issue, which is something that the city council can address. And once those policies are in place, then we can talk about what type of funding can the city obtain in order to deal with the flooding issues in some of our older historical neighborhoods like Central Park. Just to give an example. Now, I'm proud to say in District 6 that we haven't had really major flooding issues in District 6. I think one of the things I talked about was, being divide out flooding situation being fixed, which is like right at the edge of the district. Now that we have 5 Points South, that's part of the district. So it's kind of an extension, but that problem, was fixed, which was, I believe for that particular project that they use funds from the capital funds budget for that. But it is a policy issue as well as a funding issue as well. And that's something that, I will be working on to address flooding in the city of Birmingham. And once that happens, we'll be able, and public safety is another thing. I'll get to that later. That's police, fire, and public works. So with that, we need to make sure that people are safe. We need to make sure that property is safe. And we need to make sure that our roads and infrastructure are safe for people to drive through wherever you're driving your car or you're on public transportation. We want to make sure that those things are fully staffed and fully, function. And once that happens, then we're able to attract businesses to come in. We'll be able to attract industry, to come in. And this is where Birmingham needs to have a strong workforce development program. And this is something that I definitely support, as well. Where it is finding a facility to host it and having an actual program to where we can train people for, high paying jobs that are, in demand. Birmingham has the capability of attracting in-demand industries into the city. But we have to make sure that our, police force is fully staffed and fully functioning. We also need to make sure that there are some alternatives to policing, which again, I'll talk about later when we talk about, what we plan on doing to address crime. We'll get into that, later. And so once that happens, Birmingham is able to attract, industries that are in demand and create high quality paying jobs. And also too, people can go not too far from where they live and they can go, and shop. Like, for example, your district might need a grocery store, or your district may need a permanent option to where people can have access to quality groceries. And so this money that they're spending is in Birmingham, so the money stays in Birmingham. Whereas sometimes we have to go to Trustville or Bessemer or Homewood to go to a quality store. So those dollars flow out of the city of Birmingham. We want to make sure that we have those type of shopping options in the city of Birmingham so that those dollars can stay in Birmingham and those dollars can be used to revitalize our neighborhoods. Community engagement is more than just photo ops. It's really getting your hands dirty. And for those of you that know me, you know, when it comes to people, I love to get my hands dirty. You know, I'm like that with you. I remember one time I used to be a support manager at Walmart in Petersburg before I returned to Birmingham. And one of the things I watched was a lot of the managers that was above me, they always hang out at the office. They're always in the office. They was like, I'm doing paperwork. Where me, I was out on the floor with everybody else, stocking shelves and getting frostbite, you know, putting frozen foods in the freezer. I was right out there with them, you know. You know, it didn't matter. The work needed to be done, you know, and I was there. So, and you know, people that worked under me, they gave me so much respect. And he was like, you know, you're not, you know, looking high at us. You're not hiding in the office. You're right there with us, doing the same thing, you know, we're doing. Hell, I even, you know, clean floors and clean up restrooms, you know, whatever. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I even went outside, you know, and pushed the carts. Why? You know, because I was a night manager and I was making sure that the store was ready for the next day. And so I didn't mind getting my hands dirty, you know, because I wanted to make the store attractive for people to come in. And so as your counselor, I want to make sure that I do, you know, my part to advocate, legislate, and pass a balanced budget. I want to work to make sure that Birmingham is attractive for people to come back. I want to make sure that Birmingham is attractive for industry to come in, because when we have high demand industries that come into the city, that means more tax dollars coming into the city. That means that people are going to go and likely patronize, you know, these stores, and that's more tax revenue for the city of Birmingham. And guess what? It needs to be in your, you know, back door. We shouldn't have to go to Bessemer or Trustfield or Homewood and give them our dollars, you know, to where we can have quality stores in our communities to where people don't have to drive that far. You probably catch the bus and go and patronize these stores. And when you do that, the city increase their revenue through taxes. And so I gave you that example, you know, to show you that I have demonstrated many years of not just showing up for photo ops, but I'm ready to get my hands dirty, you know, and work for you. How you doing? Good to see you. So I've demonstrated to you that I'm ready to get my hands dirty and ready to work for you, to make District 6 vibrant, thriving, and successful. And this is what community engagement is all about. And then finally, in that act, we have the T, which stands for transparency. Now, me personally, I'm really big on transparency, because in order for us to act, you need to be informed. You need to be informed of what's going on in your city. You need to be informed of what's going on in your district. And so with that, I will have weekly updates on city matters. I will have open dialogue with constituencies, whether it's a listening session or a town hall, or if you call me and say, hey, I need you to come to this area. We got a big situation coming on. I'm like, I'm dropping everything. I'm coming. That's just how I am. It can be 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter. As long as I don't have any official important business to do, I will make time for you. I'll get to that later. Okay, let's move on. Okay. For any type of public records of any issues that are going on in the district, in the city of Birmingham, you will know about that through, listening tours and town halls. I will also provide what is called policy, clarity. If there's a policy that's coming, on the floor and people don't understand, what it is, I feel that it's my job as a city councilor to provide clarity on policy and ordinances that are going to, affect you. That's also includes the budget. There should be lots of clarity about that on the budget. And so this is what ACT is: accountability that's rooted in action, community engagement that creates unity by forming a common ground with all residents, and transparency that informs, educates, and transforms our communities. This is how I will breathe life into Birmingham's future. So this is the framework that will be used to bring life into Birmingham's future. Now let's look at some of the issues, and some of the issues and what my plans are for that. For example, let's look at public safety. That's the number one thing. A lot of people connect public safety, with the police, but that's not all what public safety is. If you look at the budget, there are three things that usually falls under public safety in the city budget: police, fire, and public works. That's also include your street and sanitation. It also includes trash pickup. It also includes your brush pickup, what the city does once a month. Okay, so I'll be talking about each one of those. First of all, under public safety, I said public safety is not just policing. It's also fire. It's also your public works. Under public safety, and this is something I talk about all the time. I talk about all the time that there are modern scientific methods of policing. Because what happened is that, first of all, Birmingham is short of police officers. I think they have 400 something, and it should be between 900 and 1,000. So a police department is not fully staffed, but they have a budget of $128 million that's being proposed. And out of $591 million, that's nearly about 1/5 of your budget. And the majority of that goes into salaries. And so what happened is that with the shortage, going around, every neighborhood is not going to be covered. So while that's being worked on, there are certain things that the police department, are not trained to do, such as, handling mental health, and trauma. They're not really trained for that. So there needs to be a response team or a network of people that will work with them to address things like homelessness, or if someone has a mental health issue, or it's domestic violence, or or even have to do with let's say you got a traffic violation. Those things should be handled by professionals in that field, particularly the mental health field or the social services field. So there needs to be a network of mental health and trauma response network, here they'll be able to handle that. Another thing that I, would like to introduce is what you call community violence interruption. So we all know that when it comes to the police, they're reactive, right? So a crime happens, they go and they investigate. They ask people, to help us solve their crime. If they're successful, they'll find out who's responsible, then they'll arrest them. Okay. But when we talk about violence interruption and intervention, what that means is that when we talk about violence interruption, that means that there is something in place to where a situation is not, escalate. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say that you have, let's just say that you have a homeless person, that's wandering the street that may have a tent on one, over one of the, the interstates. So instead of, having this person move along or maybe, arrest them, they should be able to refer to, an appropriate, resource. Like for example, maybe they need mental health services, or they may need to talk to a social worker. So there needs to be a network, a trauma response, a mental health or trauma response network. They'll be able to help that person. Also, too, we need to revisit a comprehensive, plan on dealing with homelessness, which, by the way, it still exists. It existed under Mayor Bernard Kincaid, but it's just collecting dust. It's been over 20 years, with that. And then we need to fund local organizations that know Birmingham, that understands Birmingham, and have been working for years on the homeless population, in the city, not getting some out of state person or organization that don't know nothing about Birmingham. Just give an example. So this is an example of some type of interruption. Because although gun violence, is down, there's also an increase in property crimes. Rape has went up. Theft has went up. And so we need to talk about this. So one program, and the most popular program that deals with community violence interruption, is called the Cure Violence Model. So this is what the Cure Violence Model. These are trained professionals. These are professionals. They are training to interrupt, crime, or gun violence. And this is also having that network, of mental health and trauma professionals, social workers, and grassroots organizations that will be able to come in and address the root cause of crime. So this is where the Cure Violence Model comes in. And after doing some research for a city of this magnitude in Birmingham, Alabama, it would cost $1 million a year, to do this. But I'm going to let you in on something. Now, in order for the Cure Violence Model to work, you need some street savvy people. And I'm not one of them. So I just can't go in and try to put this program together and expect it to work. You need the right people, at the table, those who, been in the streets. A formerly incarcerated person would be a great person to spearhead a program like the Cure Violence Model, because they know the streets, they understand the streets. These are individuals that, can easily go in and build up a reputation, and respect from a person like me, cannot obtain. Because someone told me, and they're right, when you go out in these streets and you are a politician or a police officer, everybody assumes that you're a cop. Especially you're a politician, you come in there with a 3-piece suit. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen to you, but you get the idea, right? So it takes the right people to actually, fulfill this. I don't even necessarily have to have, a role in this. My only thing is to advocate for a program to come like this to the city of Birmingham and to provide whatever resources, that I can, and then just let it go. Let them have it. The people that needs to be at the table, let them control the program and run the program. And if this is something that the city does not want to do, hey, I want to do a pilot program of the cure violence model in District 6. So we're going to pick certain neighborhoods which, by the data are the highest, crime areas in the city. And we're going to focus on those neighborhoods as a pilot program. And once that program is successful and we have shown the data, we have shown the impact, then we can sell it to the rest of the city. So it has to be more than just, the police there. So this is what community policing looks like. Another thing that we need to reinstitute is our neighborhood watch, program. Let's see what else. Another thing that I talked about when I talked about scientific methods is we have what is called intelligence policing. Are y'all familiar with the Real-Time Crime Center? So in the budget every year, they put like $1 million+ in it every year. Here's how I envision the Real-Time Crime Center. If you're familiar with the character James Bond, he is an actual intelligence officer for MI6. And what he do is that he'll go to a different place, and his work involving, making sure that something small doesn't turn into something big. I'm gonna give an example. In the 1967 James Bond film, You Only Live Twice, his boss sent him to Japan to prevent the United States and the Soviet Union from going into war. And so with his intelligence, his skill and know-how, he was able to prevent World War III from happening. So that's how this is what your real-time crime center should look like. They should be able to have the tools and the functioning and the skill set and the know-how to identify the who, what, when, how, and why something is taking place. You identify where your high crime areas are, and that's where you put your manpower and your resources at. Because not everywhere, all 99 neighborhoods is not experiencing, everything there is, whether it's gun violence, whether it's property theft. Everybody's not going through the same thing. So it's different. It's different from, every neighborhood is not the same. But through intelligence policing, you'll be able to find out where your high crime spots are. And that's where you put your manpower and your resources at. We're not talking about checkpoints, roadblocks, and blockades. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, number one, patrolling. We're talking about, number two, establishing a relationship between police officers and the citizens, because they should be able to know who the people are on their beat. And they should be having a solid relationship with them. And so that's my stance on public safety. Next thing is that we want to empower our neighborhoods. I told you before that there's a lot of times where we identify neighborhood revitalization as tearing down a house or tearing down a dilapidated, building. That's not in itself neighborhood revitalization. It's a part of it, but it's not the whole story. Only thing that's going to leave is a vacant lot. And if it doesn't get cut, then it's going to be overgrown. And you're going to have mosquitoes, you're going to have rodents, you're going to have snakes. It's a real bad problem, to deal with. So those properties need to be kept clean. And then, since the city does not build anything, then we need to attract developers that are community centric. That means that their interest is in the people that live in the community and not try to drive them out of the community. One example is, and that they have done a good job, is neighborhood housing services, where they have actually created a subdivision in Titusville off of Goldwater Street. Real nice houses, over there. The average price of those houses, I think, is between $90,000 and $150,000, over there, which is pretty reasonable for an average family, over there. Another good example is when they tore down Lovers Village and they rebuilt it from the ground up. Now it's called the Villas of Titusville. That came through the Department of Housing Urban Development, there. So the city actually go out and they got these grants and they got these partnerships. And as a neighborhood officer in North Titusville, I make sure that this money is being used for its purpose. So we make sure that they said, we're going to be in affordable housing or income housing, to your area. We made sure that they kept good on their promise. It's called holding people accountable. And you as a citizen, as a taxpayer, you have a right to hold your mayor, your city council, and your school board member accountable. And so this is what I have done as a neighborhood officer. I continue to hold the city accountable. I continue to hold our partners accountable. If I am getting money from you, that means you need to make a regular report to me as to what you are doing with this money. We want to invest in people. A lot of times we put politics into situations and nothing gets done. Well, I say take politics out of people. I take politics out of people. Take people out of politics. Let's invest in our people. Let's invest in our communities. That means we need to bring in partners that will bring income-based housing. And all that is that when I talk about income-based housing, it simply means that you want housing choices for households with different levels of income. And there are programs and services out there that will help you to be able to afford your own home. And so we also want to bring those folks in once the houses, are built. Do I agree? Do I agree that there should be homes worth $300,000 and $400,000? I mean, if you can afford it, yes. But it should be income-based housing to where I should be able to go to any neighborhood and decide and have a choice of whether or not I want to live, in that neighborhood, which means I can go into a particular neighborhood and I can find a house, that I can afford. And plus it's also cheaper if you rehab a house instead of building a house, from the ground up. And one of the things I don't like is when you tear down a house and it's in fairly good, condition that could be rehab. But on the other hand, if you have a home that is not structurally sound or you got fire damage, of course, that's deemed unsafe and it needs to be torn down. I get that part. And we don't want any of those type of houses in our communities that is deemed unsafe. And so this is what I mean when I say real investment in people, not just projects. Because we want people to be able to come into a neighborhood and say, I want to live here because there's a house here, I want to afford. And then there needs to be areas where, people will be able to, to shop. Like for example, I'm quite sure you want a quality grocery store in your neighborhood to where you don't have to drive that far. You don't have to drive to Bessemer or Hoover or Fairfield or Trustville, where the dollars are going out of the city. You want something in your, neighborhood that is decent, that is affordable, and that the tax dollars would stay right here in Birmingham. We got quite a bit of places, in District 6 that would make a vital business district, entertainment district, whatever you want to call it. Like in Titusville, for example, there's a company, I think it's called Southeast and Savage. They are relocating to Titusville from Irondale. And it's going to be nice. They purchased a formal, Golden Flake building. And what they plan to do is make that into a mixed use area. I welcome, which means there are going to be stores there. There are going to be restaurants there. And I support that because that's going to bring in, it's not only going to bring in traffic, but it's going to bring in shoppers, which means it's going to bring in more revenue. And then you got 15 acres of land that's close by that can be used for just about anything. I mean, you can put a sports complex there. You can have an entertainment district there. You can have a business district there. It's all mixed use. So you can pretty much have anything, that you want there. And we already have the traffic on 6th Avenue. Can you imagine something like that is located, in Titusville? We're talking about turning a historic neighborhood into a thriving business district. We can make it happen. You need a council person that has a vision. This is my vision. And when I heard that Southeast and Savage was coming, it was a realization of a dream that's about to become a reality. And I want to continue, going, from my understanding, I know who owns the vacant property near former Golden Flake. And I'm going to be in conversation, with them to see what kind of development, are they talking about, and that whatever that they have planned, then they need to come to the Titusville community and have a conversation, with them. Let's put our heads together and see, what kind of development that we can have in that area that would benefit not only the Titusville community, but the city of Birmingham. Because remember, we're talking about bringing new sources of revenue. And not only that, it will also bring in, new jobs. And so when we invest in people, the people are going to go and they're going to put money into these stores. And this is Birmingham's return on investment. That means more businesses, means more tax revenue for the city. It means more jobs, for people who don't have to go that far. In some cases, you can probably walk. If you live in Titusville, you can probably walk, and still be able to, have a decent quality of life. So this is what I mean when I say that we are investing in people. So these are real investments, not just pet projects. We have enough of those. And then finally, in that area, we want to make sure that our streets are clean. We want to make sure that our streets are safe. So what does that look like? It means that we need to hire more people from public works. And with the council having the purse, we can dictate that. Right now, there's a hiring freeze in the city. So we need to petition the mayor to hire more people. If you're going to have a clean city, you need to expand your public works. But there should be no reason why you got your public works people working 7 days a week. That's just crazy. And you got trash and brush pickup once a month, and you got your regular trash once a week. One person asked me when I first decided to run for office, he asked me, do you support having trash pickup twice a week? I say yes, I do. But one of the things that needs to happen is that you need to expand your public works department, because just like the police department, your public works is short too. So the mayor needs to unlock the hiring freeze and get some more of these public works people, in here, because I feel personally they're being stretched too thinly, and it's not enough hours in the day to try to keep all 99 neighborhoods trash free. So there needs to be expanded. And city council, has the purse. They can make that happen. They could petition to the mayor, that we need more people, in public works. I can't go to them and directly say, hey, you need to hire more people. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. Not as a member of the city council, because that's a violation of the Mayor Council Act. Well, we'll get into that in another conversation. Let's see what else. Another thing that we talked about when talking about clean and safer streets is to deal with our infrastructure. That means your roads being paved, proper street lighting, your sidewalks. This also has to do with making sure that your parks and recreation centers are up to date and are fully staffed. And I think this is a conversation, of whether or not, people are going to do this, and, they're working for peanuts. I think they say in the state of Alabama, in order to have a decent quality of life, you have to be making over $70,000 a year. Now, how many people in Birmingham makes over $70,000 a year? Think about that, for a moment. Anyone making less than $70,000 cannot afford a $350,000 home. Think about that. And this is something that normally comes from state and federal funds. We need to make sure that, for example, we had an issue to where the city council got $3 million from the American Rescue Plan Act. Each council district got $3 million. But yet, after doing some digging and some researching, Most of that money went into collaborating with other districts. Hardly nothing went into that particular district. I know in District 6, for example, less than 1% of that $3 million actually went into District 6. That's not happening in this administration. In this administration, if we ever are in that situation again to where, I get $3 million, it's going directly into District 6. Unless there is a program and an initiative that's going to benefit the people in my district, then yes, I can collaborate with other city council districts. But as far as I'm concerned, that money is going straight into District 6. Because there are some things that I could have done with that $3 million that would benefit the district. And then another thing that I can do is make sure that, the mayor, is providing funds and resources to upkeep our parks and our rec centers. I know for a fact that Memorial Park needs some upgrades. They need some additions, because Memorial Park is one of the most heavily trafficked parks in the city of Birmingham. And for the number of people that patronizes that park on a daily basis, that park needs to be upgraded. As a matter of fact, all of our parks and recreation centers need some type of attention. Most of the time that comes from your capital funds budget. I remember a couple of years ago when they upgraded the HVAC system at Memorial Park, they actually used capital funds for that. I can't remember how much it cost to upgrade, but it wasn't cheap. So they used money from the capital funds budget to do that. So in addition to that, I support programs to be offered at Memorial Park that's geared towards the nearby area. I guess you got Titusville, you got Arlington West End that's nearby, can definitely support that. So I would like to see a lot of programs and activities that are happening at Memorial Park that is not only for our adults, but also so for the youth. So they've been crying out. They said they want this, they want that, they want more opportunities. And this is something that, as your next counselor, that I want to, advocate on. We want to make sure that our young people have those opportunities to where they can become successful adults. And this will also address the crime situation that we have in the city of Birmingham, because if they are distracted with positive activity, we're able to bring crime down. So that's one way that we can bring crime down. Let's move on. This is my promise to you. I am not a celebrity. I am a public servant. I am not a politician. I am a public servant. My focus will be on service. My focus will be on advocacy, not photo ops. I mean, if I end up on the news, that's fine, but that's not my purpose for being in the seat. I'm not going into this seat being politically minded. I'm going in this seat because I want to make a difference. I want to be able to advocate for you what you need in your community. I am going into this seat to legislate and to create policies that will keep you safe, that will bring people back into the city, that will clean out communities, make our neighborhoods safe, and hold people accountable. And then I want to pass a balanced budget that is people-centered. That means, whatever that you need and are looking for in your communities, your budget should reflect that. Now, I get it. I understand that the council cannot make any changes to the budget unless it's approved by the mayor. So the council does not have as much power over the budget as it used to. But here's my thing. If I find out that this budget is not people-centered, I'm voting no. I'm saying no, to that bill. I'm basically saying, you know what, Whiffen mayor or whoever the mayor is, you're going to have to go back into the drawing board. Now, we're willing to work with you to have a people-centered budget, but I'm not going along to get along. Okay? I'm not supporting anyone or anything that's wrong. I mean, you can just separate me from that. I'm not, doing it. I don't know. It can be a legal issue. It can be a moral issue. It can be an ethical issue. I'm not in it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what I am going to do. Now, say that the agenda comes out, right? I'm going to be looking at agenda, left and right. I'm going to call in my folks, say, hey, what you think about this? And if it's something that is going to directly affect District 6, I'm going to be like, I'm calling my neighborhood officer and say, hey, I need to meet with y'all. We got a situation that's going on, here in this particular neighborhood. I want y'all to know about it. And then I want to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I should vote for this? Do you think I should go along with this? Because I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. Now, you guys know that the amphitheater opened up, right? But the Caraway demolition project is still ongoing. And the people that are behind the development, over there, they're asking for more money. They're asking for over $3 million after the council already gave them, $25 million. And the project is still in existence. That whole campus, the whole formal Caraway campus has not been torn down. But they're coming in here, asking for more money. Why am I bringing this up? Because if the council is voting on something that involves money, you guys need to come to me and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. This is what's being done with the money. This is what's going to happen next. Y'all need to come to us. Okay. We're giving you money. And so we need to be holding you accountable and like, hey, what are you doing with this money? But that's not the case here. They're not holding this. They're not holding the developers accountable. You're going to turn right around and give them the money anyway, even though they lied and said that we got a deficit when you have a surplus. Go back and listen to Brian K. Rice's video, on that. It's on YouTube and it's probably posted on Facebook. Go back and read it so y'all don't think I'm lying. Y'all don't think I'm lying. Okay. Council people need to hold these folks accountable. If you are voting on something that involves money, those folks need to come back to you and say, hey, this is what we done with the money. We're going to give you what I call a milestone. This is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. This is when the project's going to be complete. And see, this is all boils back down to transparency and accountability. If you are a nonprofit and you're seeking a grant for someone, a funder, and that funder has approved your grant, what they gonna tell you in the contract? You got some reporting guidelines to do, right? Meaning that you need to let these folks know, hey, I give you this money, what you have done with it. And so I believe that as a member of the city council, I should be doing the same thing. You know, if I'm giving you money, you need to tell me what you have done with this money. And see, there's a total lack of accountability and transparency that's going on, which is one of the main reasons why a lot of projects like the Family Fun Center at the Crossplex or the Ransom McCormick building is just an empty lot. Because we giving them money and we're not holding these folks accountable. That's why nothing is being done. That's why no development is happening in your district, because your councilor person is not holding these folks accountable. We just give them, money. I mean, hell, you might as well have give them a blank check and tell them you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because that's exactly what's happening. That's why nothing is being done. And that needs to stop. And for those of you who know me, know I'm going to call y'all out. Y'all know I'm going to hold these folks accountable. I'm going to tell y'all the truth, and I'm coming with receipts. This is what being a good steward of a city budget looks like. And if you don't, and if your counselor person does not do that, then you need to have a conversation with your counselor person. Hey, how come you ain't holding these folks accountable? I mean, we're talking about taxpayer dollars here. We as citizens need to do a better job in holding our elected officials accountable. And when you do hold them accountable, they shouldn't be upset with you, because accountability comes with the job, and so is transparency. And I take those two very seriously. So, again, I'm not a celebrity. I'm a public servant. I will focus on service and advocacy, not taking photos. And I will not only elevate the grassroots voices, but also elevate the voices of the people. How many of y'all go to City Hall, the council chambers, right? And when you look up, you see a slogan, the people are the city. Now ask yourself, is that the kind of climate that we see in Birmingham? Also, look at the budget. Look at the budget. Look at the organizational chart at the beginning of the budget. Who's on top of that organizational chart? The people. But is that reflective in our local government? No. In fact, is a lack of trust in our local government, because many people are saying that there has been a lot of unfulfilled promises. Promises has been made but have been unfulfilled. There's been promises of development that has never come, or it's taken longer to come into fruition. This is what people are saying all over the city. And we have to work to rebuild that trust. And then finally, I oppose to be involved in any political power grabs. Not going to be involved, in that. As I said earlier, anytime that politics gets in the way of people are going to be ignored and nothing's going to be done. So I'm going to stay away from that. I'm not here to make myself rich. I'm not here for any type of power grabs. I would fight to protect public control of entities that are owned and controlled by the city of Birmingham. I would stand up for city autonomy. That means we need to have a conversation about home rule in the state of Alabama, which we don't have. In fact, in certain neighborhoods, in certain municipalities like Mountain Brook, they have what you call partial home rule. Did you know that? Somebody in Montgomery told me that. But we have to have a conversation about home rule. And so with that, and one of the things that I talked about, that in order to protect the public's interest, the city council needs their own attorney. The purpose of the council having their own attorney is several things. Number one, you want to make sure that, what you're doing, what you're saying is in line with the Mayor Council Act. They can advise on that. It's good to have that type of representation on you. And there also exists to protect the interests of the city council, because the council's interests may not necessarily be the same interests of the mayor. And if you're using the law department from the city of Birmingham, they're not always going to be out for your interests. And so the council having their own attorney means that their interests can be protected. And this person can also be used to influence legislation on the state level. Like, for example, Birmingham, I support local autonomy. And that means that we have to have a conversation about Alabama instituting home rule. I also believe that budgeting power should be restored to the city council. But no one person should have major control over the budget. That was changed in 2016 when the Mayor Council Act was, amended. The power of the budget needs to be restored to the city council so that we in turn can forward some of that budgeting power to the people. And one of the ways that we can do this, and I talked about this before, is participatory budgeting. So right now, none of that is happening, currently, because city council has little control over the budget. Only thing they can do right now is vote it up or down. I truly believe that budgeting power should be restored to the city council. And that would pretty much wrap this up here. So I told you who I was. I told you what I done, gave you a little bit of snippet, anyway. And I told you what I plan to do. The Birmingham Rising campaign is about putting community first and being accountable always. Why? Because I want to breathe life into Birmingham's future. And the framework to do that is accountability with action, community engagement that involves having unity of the people through common ground, and transparency that informs, educates, and transforms. That is the framework of how we are able to breathe life into Birmingham's future. So on August 26th, I'm asking for your vote for me, Keith Williams, for Birmingham City Council. Why? Because I've done the work long before the election. I advocated for you long before the election. My engagement into the community is unparalleled. You can Google me and lots of stuff will pull up because I'm all over the news. TV, radio, newspapers, I'm there. All you gotta do is do a Google search of me and you can pull some stuff up about me. So my record is evident. My advocacy is evident. My service in the community is evident. And I welcome any calls that you may have. You can call me, area code 205-641-9976. If you want to have a personal conversation with me, I can tell you more about who I am, what I've done, what I plan on doing. I can go into greater detail if you want me to. But this is just like a synopsis because people are, they're on social media and they want to know, well, what have you done? What are you planning on doing? So I'm here on Facebook to answer those questions. And I hope that I answer those questions in great detail that is comprehensible and that you get a full picture of who I am and why I'm running. And so last but not least, if you enjoyed this presentation, if you like what you heard, then I encourage you to do several things. Number one, to give a financial contribution. Your donations of any amount will go to the message right up here, breathing life into Birmingham's future. Because I see Birmingham as a valley of dry bones. And through this framework, accountability, community engagement, and transparency, these dry bones will live again. So these three elements is the breath that I intend to breathe so Birmingham can have a positive future. But folks, that would take funds. It would take donations, to do that. So I encourage you to donate to this campaign. We have a Cash App that you can donate to. That's Friends, FRIENDS, KO Williams. That's one word that you can donate. You can also do a search on Act Blue, Keith Williams. If you see Keith Williams, Birmingham City Council District 6, that's me. You can donate there. And we're also looking for volunteers. If you like this message and you want to donate, those are the two ways that you can donate. We also are in need of volunteers. So if you want to go with me one day and knock on doors, we'd love to have you. Please get with me. You can reach me on Facebook through Facebook Messenger. You can call me. Again, my number is area code 205-641-9976. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to donate, or if you want to volunteer, you can call me there. And in some cases, I'll come to you. Don't matter where you live at. It can be North Titusville, South Titusville, Woodland Park, Oakwood Place, Illerton Village, Mason City, 5 Points South, West End Manor. If you want me to come to you and talk to you directly, I'll be more than happy to do that. I'm kind of like one of the most openest person, that you ever want to meet. And I'll just let you do all the talking. Why? Because I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. And since no one else is willing to listen, let me come over and let me listen to what you have to say. Because why? Because you as a voter, as a citizen, you matter. Has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. You are the city of Birmingham. And without you, there is no Birmingham. You are very valuable in this city. Don't let nobody tell you that there's not enough tax space in your community to have any type of development to be done. That's a lie. It's all about priorities. Do you have a counselor person that's willing to advocate for you? Do they have a heart for service, or they just want to be seen on camera? And if you look around your neighborhood and nothing has significantly changed in the last 8 years, 12 years, then you need to have a conversation with yourself and then find out who else is running and have a conversation with them. And if they are willing to listen, share your concerns and act on your concerns, and they build a relationship with you, then those are the people that you need to consider as your next counselor person. I'll tell you, I've already it's in me. Being a servant is in me. I done it before I have a title, and I will continue to do it whether I have a title, or not. Why? Because you are important. I love my neighborhood. My family been in Titusville for over 40 years, and I take pride in where I live. Just think of the possibilities of this vision to come to pass. Everything that I have said. Is that the type of community that you want to live in? Not saying that we're going to be another South Avondale, Highland Park, or Crestwood. I'm not saying that. Because I believe every neighborhood has its own unique flavor. But what do we have in common? Let us find common ground, something that we can all agree with. Let's establish relationships and partnerships that's not going to benefit me, but it's going to benefit you, the people that live in these neighborhoods. Then we can see Birmingham's potential come alive like it was before. Is that the type of Birmingham that you want to live in? Then you cannot continue to elect the same people doing the same thing and hoping for a different result. I believe in change. And with your vote, change can come to District 6. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you reach out to me. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I hope that I have addressed some of your concerns that was on, on social media. I want to let you know I hear you. I hear you, and I can't speak for any other candidate that's running for mayor or city council. I can only speak for myself. I hear you. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to do this Facebook Live today, because I want to let y'all know fully and completely where I'm coming from. So if you like what you hear, donate, be a part of the campaign. Let's be about change. but you can't do it on the couch. You have to be active. And I encourage you to study these candidates, have a conversation with them, see where their head is at, and then get with someone that you feel resonate with you and your values and what you like to see in your community. And by us doing that together, we can make change a reality. I'm Keith Williams, candidate for Birmingham City Council, District 6. Thank you so much for tuning in. And just to remind you that we're having a virtual town hall meeting this Thursday, June 24th at 6 p.m. So I hope to see you then. We'll be talking some more. We're going to get deeper into the issues, what my responses are, and how I plan to address them. I'm also going to be talking about something that's very important that I made a comment about a couple of weeks ago. One of the things I'll talk about is that why isn't there, when an election comes around, that we never talk about the elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is that nearly 3/4 of the population in the city of Birmingham is Black. But what are we doing for the majority of the people of the city of Birmingham? That's one thing I'll be talking about at the town hall meeting. So I hope that you will join me. So until then, y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I pray that you will have a successful, week coming up. I pray that what you have set out to accomplish will be accomplished. I pray that you will make a difference in your community. Until then, have a great day.